whatever the hell comes to my thoughts.
All right. All right. Well, uh, we're here. It's I Hate Ben and Tim, season one,
Officially, yes,
episode.
officially. Starting at 10:14 Texas time, 11:14 Philadelphia time.
Oh, well, that's right. Yep.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Excellent.
On what is it? A Wednesday? It's the perfect
A
time to be doing this.
Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
hump day. Hope some of
Mm-hmm.
you all were successful on hump day today. We have a lot to talk about. Has nothing to do with that, but it
Uh-huh.
has a lot to do with politics and being pissed off
Okay.
about politics. You better not be advertising while I'm talking about politics. We're going to immediately get turned off with the internet.
No, that's fine. We
Oh, that's
can't
it.
monetize this shit.
Okay, good.
I am drinking this novelty size beer, which I
Oh,
like.
you're living the high life? That's a
Yeah.
champagne of beers.
Have you ever considered, dude, that novelty size might mean huge or it might mean tiny?
Couldn't it, doesn't it have to just mean
It just
like
has to be a
new?
novelty. It just has to be like a novelty size bicycle is tiny, but
But
you know,
wouldn't it have to be like novel? So like,
it's novel.
is it like a,
Because most
is
bikes
it
are
like a,
large.
right, but like after a while, aren't they not like novelties anymore?
Well, yeah,
It's just like,
exactly. Right. Yeah.
if that becomes the standard, then
Right.
they're not
Like shit that was
novelty.
sold in Spencer's Gifts 50 years ago is no longer novel, you know.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But
Right.
all I'm saying is that
If
this is
people just drank bigger beers, that's no longer a
right,
novelty
but they
can.
don't.
But they don't. Okay, you win. Debate one. You win.
Yeah. Point.
Yeah, so that's just a
Is
little
that how they
taste of
score it in
what
high
you're gonna
school?
get.
Is
Yeah,
it somebody holds up a giant beer and they say, "Well,
that's how it worked in practice.
okay."
Debate practice is a lot like that. The actual debates are much more boring. Timers and boring nerds.
Don't
But
get
they're
friends.
all on YouTube now trying to convince people that they're cool. All those people you watch on YouTube that are like talking to a screen by themselves, they all sound exactly like all the idiots that I had to debate against in the 90s. Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
my age and they use all the same jargon that debaters use.
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
I swear to God, I went to high school or I debated some of them in high school. Sometimes I feel like I recognize them.
Yeah,
I'm like,
for sure, man. I
did
mean,
that dude go to freaking Plano Senior? Like,
so have you ever heard of this dude, J. Caspian Kang?
no, I wish I had.
So anyway, he's like a Korean
Is
American
he
dude.
like related to the Narnia
No, no,
realm?
yeah, yeah.
No. Okay.
Who was that? Prince Caspian in the was he a Silverchair guy? Was he in Silverchair or E6 or something? Um,
I just know that Caspian has something to do with Narnia, and that's really as much of the connection as I can think of. That was
they
like
never
as
finished
deep
those
as I
movies, right?
had.
They just gave up.
Yeah, I think they made like half of the books into movies, maybe.
I was hyped to see the last one. The last one is basically Revelations, like everybody's
Yeah,
favorite book,
essentially. My
whatever.
older brother was, I think, super into those at the time, and I was just like, yeah, they
At the
seem
time,
neat.
your older brother was born in like the 50s.
No, like when we were kids, I guess. At the time when it was like age appropriate reading, I guess.
Yeah, okay. But
Yeah,
anyway, so
before they were movies.
this dude I'm talking about, he writes for like the New York Times or New Yorker or something. But anyway, he's always like talking about how um, debate and debaters are like kind of bad for society.
They just they they think you're allowed to like throw reality out the window and then
Right.
have a discussion like outside of reality, and that then you can like take the wisdom from that discussion and take it out into reality, but you're allowed to have these discussions inside of bubbles, and that's only true like at a debate tournament,
Right. Yeah.
and they think it's true like with all their interactions,
Right. Right.
and now they're just doing it by themselves with nobody arguing back, like
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like
that's Yeah.
Ben Shapiro is definitely a debate kid, right?
Perfect example. Yeah.
He's
He's a
just like
debate. Yeah.
facts and logic, bitch. And it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
like,
Facts
what are
don't
you
care about your
talking
feelings,
about?
guy. Yeah.
I mean,
He's
uh,
the most obvious example.
yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. I hate him. Yeah. So much. And he just keeps hiring like the next most worst person, like
Yeah.
from the I don't know, conservative sphere. He just keeps adding them into the Daily Wire like group, and it's like, and he's got
Mhm.
Candace Owens working for them. It's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh no.
Which yesterday, did you see this? That Candace Owens and Kanye West were at some,
Yes,
yeah,
I
some,
did see that.
some
Wearing a White Lives Matter
Paris,
shirt.
yes, Paris Fashion
Yes,
Week or something, wearing
yeah,
White
it is.
Lives
It's
Matter
exactly
shirts.
what it is.
So, what the fuck, man? Like, I, 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 Kanye was cool, like, when we were young. Remember when he
Hey,
first came out
you
and he
just
was like, without an arm, I spit. Without an arm, I spit.
right. Well, even now, like, let's say Jesus is amazing and he's great, and but like they don't. You don't have to be like right about all this white lives matter stuff and good at rap. Like you can just be good at the rapping and like we can ignore other things. That's like
Sure,
neat.
sure, but he also doesn't make cool music anymore.
I guess that's subjective. You could argue that's subjective, but the other stuff is just definitely not right.
Right, right.
Yeah, like yeah.
And
Can
also,
apply a calculus to him being wrong about that shit. His music, like there are some people that still buying it. So, you know.
mhm.
I just don't understand it. That's how I feel about it now. I feel old when I listen to it, so I'm like, I bet it's cool, and I just don't get it.
I don't know,
Sort of like, yeah,
I
maybe.
kind of like, I'm not sold on that argument, to be honest with you, but I'm not getting into debate nerd shit on that. But so are they like a thing now? Why is he hanging out with Candace Owens? Is he like
She works for him. She's like,
she
she
works
has,
for Kanye West?
or he. No, 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 no. Sorry,
Oh
I
yeah,
thought you were
no, no,
talking
no. Yeah,
about.
I know she works for Ben Shapiro. No, I
No,
was
I
wondering
think
if you
she
have
was
any
just
insight
being, as
into.
far as I know, she was being token to be like two African American people wearing White Lives Matter shirts. That was it.
Yeah.
Just to have their picture taken wearing it to say like um we're not racist or we are racist or whatever they want, you know what I mean, they just
Yeah.
want people to like they're just picking a fight, they're just the kids sitting in the playground throwing pebbles and like they're not doing any damage, but it's like they're pissing everyone off, waiting to hit someone pissed off enough to come over and like start something and then telling them for kicking them or whatever, like they're just they're so immature. It's just it's so obvious what they do, and that's what makes it so effective. Is because kids get what they want.
But is it effective? I like. Do you think it's
Yeah,
effective? Like, no,
they're
I don't
rich.
think it is effective. Oh, sure, they're rich. Yes, yes. But I mean,
I think that's what
sense
they
of,
want.
are they convincing anyone of fucking anything? Like, when was the last time you actually heard Kanye West say something and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense? Like, nobody fucking takes that guy
No, I
seriously.
think Kanye probably is not doing anything except just like selling more Kanye awareness. Basically, every time he
Yeah.
bubbles up, I think he's just getting making sure that like he's still like a thread in the fabric of our culture right now. But I don't think that his political stuff has anything to do with what he deems important. I think sometimes he just gets like a tickle in his butt and it's like, yeah, sure, I'll do some weird stuff and wear a shirt nobody wants me to wear,
Yeah.
wear a hat. People are gonna go. He just wants to be that guy. I remember being like an idiot at certain points and just being like, I want to freak out everybody like in my
Sure.
vicinity just to see what happens,
Right.
type of
Just
thing.
being a contrarian, right? Like,
And if you're Kanye, you can basically do that like, with like $1 billion budget.
but yeah, it is basically like 20-year-old you going to parties in character and just being like,
Right.
"Hey man, what's your name and address?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey man,
You
what's
got
your name?"
permanent site
Just
address, man?
just
Yeah,
just fucking walk up to everybody. Hey
right.
man, what's your name and address? Hey
You,
man,
you
what's
got a
your name and
permanent address?
address?
Is that permanent? Is that a permanent address? If that's temporary, it's not going to work. We need to know where you're going to permanently be.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
So yeah, so there's that.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep. So
yeah,
Kanye
so there's
lost his
that.
damn mind. Got the Kardashian curse. Got the Jenner jinx. We can talk about that at some other time. But what you said about
Well,
Ihatebenandtim.
Kardashian is having a rough time right now too. She's like in trouble because of like fraud or something.
Who is Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, she's getting
Yeah,
her
makes sense.
commitments. Yeah, it's like she's in trouble. So I think it's just like a money thing. She's gonna have to pay money. It's not
Oh, did
important
I see
enough
something about
for
that?
me to.
Is it like cause like cryptocurrency bullshit?
Yeah, it's like she was
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
yeah, like sort of like didn't say that she was an advertising sort
Right.
of faux pas type of thing. Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
stupid. But come up, it's that's what happens when you mess with Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, worse things happen when you mess with Kardashians, though. Reggie Bush, Lamar Odom. I'm not gonna blame all of Blake
That's
Griffin's
true.
injuries on a Kardashian, but some of them had to be. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
There's got to be mental damage that we don't know about. So
right.
it's
Yeah.
sort of
There's something happened
stuff
to
we
him. You
can't
know.
see. Yeah.
Um, Who else, man? I mean, there's more. There's got to be more, right? Oh, Ben Simmons lost his goddamn mind. You know, fucking, you can't come up and, don't fuck with those
Yeah.
girls.
I can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with it.
Um.
So,
So anyway, you watched the whole um Texas governor debate, and I did
yeah,
not.
I was lucky enough
I
to be uh,
I thought
uh,
about watching
one of
because I
its
saw
audience
you
members.
YouTube served it to me, and I was like, man, I can't deal with Texas right now, you know.
Yeah. I
But
like seeing like the sort of like immediate response of like a crowd. And they didn't really have a crowd for that, but it's still interesting to see like what happens like when
oh, they
people
didn't have
get
a
like
crowd.
well, it was
Were they
like
just
not a
like in a studio or something? I mean, I have a picture up,
kind of
but
it
like,
was like I think there was like a lot of restrictions put on it by uh that governor guy that's been around governing for so long. He doesn't do anything.
Abbott.
Uh I don't Professor X, I forget his name all the time. I don't know. He has got mental powers. He's got telepathy. Texas governor.
Mhm.
I always forget his name. Anyways,
He wears Cerebro.
yeah, he has a
Yeah,
cerebro.
he taps into people's minds all across the
Right. He's
state
always
and
trying to help
convinces them to
Wolverine
vote
figure out his
against their
past.
interests.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're
that
right.
guy, right?
Yeah, right. Um uh that guy, yeah, he was just it's he's so evil that it's interesting to see pretty much anyone ask him any normal question because the answer is going to be like his evil is going to leak out no matter what. So it was like really interesting to see, even though he did kind of like restrict the audience and didn't let like certain people like be in there, like regular people, I guess, in there. It seemed very like hush hush in the crowd. And Beto made like a comment about like, because of his like rules, like we can't even have like so and so in here because he was probably scared of people saying like jeer, jeer, like we hate you or whatever. Um, so it was very fairly tame as far as that, but there was good questions. Like it was pretty interesting, but
So who
I,
who who was like moderating it? Was it
there
like
were three
Channel
different
4 or
people.
something or
There was three different moderators from like three different cities. So it was somebody from like, or yeah, somebody from the Dallas Morning News,
okay.
some guy, and then like people from like either like the San Antonio market or Houston market or both. Or but there was three total people that just were like reporters in their local area that sort of traded off asking
Oh, well, that's
questions.
kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they really like stayed on like just big topics and harped on them, but the format was such that it made it sort of like difficult for anything to really get discussed because it was like you have 15 seconds to answer, you have 30 seconds to answer, and then like a bell's dinging, and it's like
Yeah.
sometimes you want them to like keep talking, but it probably would have just been like Beto like rambling, which he tends to do. So it may have ended up like kind of helped him to just like let him know, like, you've got 5 seconds, bro. Like, wrap it up. Like, you've
Yeah.
already said all the things you're gonna say. But he had a really like nice showing, I'd say, and didn't have any like gaffes of any kind. And uh Wheels just was horrible. It was so bad. Like, just straight up lied about like that whole thing with busing the migrants thing came
Oh
up, and
yeah, what a fucking insane thing to do,
that
man. Why would you do
that was
that?
the worst thing ever. The governor of New York, they had like a little tape that they played of him being like, yeah, we reached out to their office to see if we could coordinate with them about this, and they refused to do so. And Abbott in the debate says like, and then they come straight to him and ask him like, you know, did you coordinate with them? He's like, we coordinated with local security and law enforcement. And it's like, no, like, not with Texas. Did you coordinate with New York about this, where you sent these people? He's like, yeah, we coordinated with our own people to find a bus and put migrants on it and send them to New York. And it's like, and he said that, oh, it's just so bad. Yeah, he said it was, he just lied, like really easy, like Trump style. Like, they could have fact checked it like right then on Google during the lie. They could have figured out that it was not true. Like, and it was just a snowball of that. He just looked stupid the whole time and seemed really cruel as far as like the immigration stuff is concerned and the abortion stuff is
Right.
concerned. He
Which I
came
think is
across as like real cruel.
I would say so the abortion thing setting that aside, but the immigration thing, here's what I think is crazy. Even as recently as Rick Perry, cuz like when we were growing up, Texas, of course it's a conservative place, but there was still like some degree of reasonability where like,
Yeah,
you know, W like didn't fucking hate Mexicans. He was like
not at all.
he was
No,
trying to
he
get
fluent in
immigration reform
Spanish.
done.
Yeah,
And even if you remember when Rick Perry, that dumb motherfucker, ran for president, and in the do you remember the
what
hang on, I got to take it way back. Do you remember when he was running for governor maybe the second time or something, and they had this
probably?
commercial of
Yeah.
him getting pulled over by state troopers and just total like frat boying them? He was like, "Hey, do you know who I am? Just let us move on down the road." Like just complete good old boy. Anyway, dude's an idiot. Don't like him. But do you remember when he ran for president in the Republican presidential debates? He got booed because he was like, if you believe that some child who was brought here without their own will doesn't deserve the right to go to school or have a hot meal, then I believe you don't have a heart. And they booed the
Oh
motherfucker.
yes,
Do you remember that? It was like,
I
I
do
don't remember if
remember
that was
that.
'08 or 12, but they fucking booed him. And that, I was like, whoa, what happened? Right? Like, I thought, I know that Republicans are kind of assholes, but like, I didn't think they were those kind of assholes because we grew up, with the W assholes.
Right? Yeah, different times.
So it's just crazy to me. I don't understand. I don't understand how you can live in Texas and be that hardcore anti fucking immigrant, man. Like, how many of your neighbors are Mexican, motherfucker?
Right. Yeah, and it's really like this is like a recent, I guess, thing that has happened that Texas is now officially more Hispanic than anything else.
Oh, really?
Like, for the first election, this will be the first election where that's the case.
Oh, sweet.
Where
Yeah, I knew
where
it was
it's
coming.
where
Well, way to go.
if more than half of the state's population is Hispanic, like by a tick of a percent,
Hmm.
and
Or it's probably not
significantly
more than half the state, but it's like it's a plurality, right? It's got
a
to be like
plurality. Yes, yeah,
right.
exactly.
It's got to
Yeah,
be like 35% Hispanic and 34% white, or so.
right. No other group has more. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's the correct way of saying it. Yeah. Um, but they also are like 51 to 30. It's like 51 to 38 and change pro O'Rourke as a community. Like,
Mm.
in general. Like that's like new polling post debate is coming out with like uh the Hispanic power in the Texas midterms being like I was looking at like WFAA, looking at some stuff on there. And if you want to look some of it up, but just some interesting stuff coming out like with the power of that vote and like the uncertainty of like who's gonna vote and what they vote on. Um, the abortion thing seems to be like a big unknown because
Yeah.
just like there's still like a third of the Hispanic voters that kind of are cool with what's been done and like to keep it how it is,
Yeah.
but still like over 50% want to not have that and want to, make it more liberal. So but it does make the race a little more interesting than maybe your average poll would have it, because uh, you know children of immigrants and you know former you know citizens of other countries, they have very different opinion about immigration than your average American's gonna have. So like
For
that's
sure.
like a real thing. They think about it in the way that you know soccer moms think about like street lights and I don't know
Hmm.
potholes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like like get super like oh yeah, fix that. It ruins my day every day. Like
Hmm.
it's like a real life everyday thing. Whereas like a lot of other people outside of Texas think about immigration and it's like they're not really talking about it. And Beto has like a really good answer that I don't think any politician has had a better answer to immigration than his. And
Oh
it like
wow,
is a
that's
good
interesting.
governor's it's a good governor's answer. As it's not a good federal answer, but just to have a program where like to solve the we need workers and there's too many people problem,
Yep.
use those two problems to solve each other and just have like a really fast paced get you a job while you're waiting and have it be like uh like a 6 day waiting period instead of 6 week waiting period for all these things that you need to wait for that people end up just getting in and getting lost and literally traveling so far away they never come back because they find a job or whatever. Like it's so bad. The system is just so broken. He's like got some relatively simple ideas to at least get started and stuff that he could get done. So it's like, well, he makes a good point, and I've seen him in like face to face talking to people that seem like they would disagree with him, and they're like talking back, and he in conversation is real good at kind of turning people around, and he's
Yeah.
still knocking on doors. He's still doing what he did. So I know I've seen personally working in restaurants him like how good of a campaign he can run with the like Hispanic culture, especially like in
Hmm.
Dallas, like where there's like huge swaths where it's like generations of people that they haven't
Yeah.
they don't know any immigrants. Every like all their grandparents, they've all been here since
Right.
forever.
It's
It's just
the border crossed them. They never crossed the border.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what happened, and it's just like
And that's even
they
up in North Texas. You know.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's just that's how it's just different. You have a different experience here. And so they straight up will tell you like when some liberal is totally full of their own bullshit on immigration and when somebody's not, and Beto is not, like he gets it. He's from El Paso for real. El
Hmm.
Paso is like like sort of a mecca of what immigration should be like how they handle it there, like the
Hmm.
coexistence. It's really nice.
Hmm.
It's not like um, an awesome city necessarily. It's not like like an awesome metroplex or anything, but as far as like being a border town is concerned, like and it's really far away from anything, like it's really nice until they had that one shooting. is like was one of the safest
Well,
places to
and that
be
dude
there.
was from Fort Worth or something, right?
Exactly. He
Well,
drove out there because he
that's a
watched like
12-hour drive,
Sucker
man. That's
Carlson.
halfway
And
to
he just,
fucking Los Angeles.
oh yeah, literally, yeah. You literally, when you get there, you're halfway to LA. If
Yeah.
you're like in DFW, yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, and he was like literally like watching a TV show, and they were like, "Yeah, these people are fucking doing this shit. They're coming across and raping kids." And he was like, I gotta go stop them." Like, and he just ran into a Walmart and started shooting grandmas and shit, and
yeah.
kids.
You know what's crazy? I talked to some dude the other day here in Philadelphia who was telling me about like, oh, Joe Biden's letting all these immigrants into the country. They're gonna overrun it. Blah blah blah. I was like, dude, like, yeah, there's a lot of Puerto Rican people here, but I like they're American citizens, and B, like, they're not Mexicans, dude. You know, they're not Guatemalans. They're not. And I'm not
Right,
saying there's no Mexicans or Guatemalans here either, but like, there's no chance of like someplace this far north being overrun by fucking immigrants, and yet people are worried about it. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And plus,
right,
they're all fucking immigrants, right? There's like, it's like,
exactly.
dude, you live in a Polish ass neighborhood with all these places selling pierogies and shit. What the fuck are you like? What are you on about, man? Like,
Right,
your name
yeah,
isn't Sitting Bull, bitch. Fuck.
yeah.
It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Uh,
Well, it's predictable, but it doesn't make any sense.
yeah. Um. So, um, what what else did they talk about in the debate besides like immigration? Or I like certainly
You
Uvalde
could
must have.
probably guess. I mean,
Uvalde had to come up, right? Did they talk about
yeah,
that?
Uvalde definitely came up, and I think that is probably the best bet on the left to have any sort of a chance. And I think at this point, by chance, I mean down the ticket sort of stuff. I think Beto could do a lot for uh, getting people out to vote, and then maybe like helping some like districts flip and stuff like that. People that like getting some blue people out of their chair and go vote just because like maybe we'll win, maybe, and then instead of losing by 9, will lose by 6, and then but a
Well,
lot of like
it looks like he's
down the
losing
ballot stuff
by.
maybe gets voted for because people show up. So like I
He,
think he's going to stick to uh, the Uvalde stuff with the whole it's been this many weeks and absolutely nothing has been done since that happened to make it any more difficult for it to happen again. That was like his catchphrase.
oh,
Uh,
okay. I didn't even realize that.
like that during the debate, that kind of became his thing. It is like that he harped on is like, okay, we're sitting here today and that happened 18 weeks ago and
Yeah, I
you
was about
still
to
have
say
done
it's like
nothing.
that was like in May, right?
Yeah, it's like he was like, "You've done nothing," and he's been bringing it up like every week. Like now it's been 16 weeks, now it's been 17 weeks. Like you still have done absolutely nothing because in Texas, the law is insane. It's crazy. It's like they encourage you to open carry. Like you're literally allowed
Right.
to just go buy any gun that's for sale at the age of 18. They're not going to ask you any questions except how old you are, and then you can carry it with you anywhere you want out in
Oh yeah,
public
yeah. They got
with
rid of
no
permits, right?
registration or card of any kind. And no cop is allowed to stop you and ask you any questions because it's not even considered suspicious. It's the exact same thing as carrying a petition banner around as far as they're concerned. It's just constitutional
Fucking
carry.
madness.
That's
Fucking
what they call
madness.
it,
Yeah,
constitutional
I know.
carry.
I have you ever seen the clip of the what's the guy's name? Berger, the former Supreme Court, the Chief Justice guy. He's a conservative guy appointed by like fucking Nixon or some conservative motherfucker who was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I think his name was Berger, and he did this interview where he was like the the lobby of the gun rights advocates about the Second Amendment is the greatest fraud perpetrated on the American people in history. And he like breaks it down, and it's crazy that that's like 40 years ago. That was normal Republican shit, and now they're like, if I want to carry a tactical nuke in my butthole, you gotta let me. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Well, I mean, Boebert said recently in a speech, uh, oh my God, what did she say? She was like, when they wrote the Second Amendment, they say that you couldn't have a cannon, but I'm pretty sure that they had Gatling guns, and you could have a Gatling gun because of the Second Amendment. You're allowed to have them, and it's like, no, ma'am, they were not yet invented, and certainly couldn't just roll around with a cannon at the time. That was not normal practice. I think
Right.
you're getting the Second Amendment a little bit wrong. Well, I'm positive about Gatling guns. It's like, no,
Oh
ma'am.
man.
How did you get into office in freaking Southern Colorado?
Well, she's an actress playing a role. You know,
Well, yeah, she's a food poisoner.
well, there's that too. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
all right. Well, do you want to talk
I have
about?
a, I have a deep hate for her because of my restaurant background. Food poisoning is like the worst thing that you could do to somebody.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure. I
she
mean,
like did it on purpose and like, you know,
well, not exactly on purpose, right? But she just like
I'll go
is a
with allegedly.
shitty.
I
She
don't want
wasn't
to get
trying to
sued.
poison people, but she was just like, I don't give a fuck if these people get poisoned, right?
As that's the same thing. As a
Right.
server of
No,
food.
I understand, dude. You know, I've worked in restaurant. Like I understand it, but like I have a brain and I care about people. You know, and she doesn't.
Right. Well, one of those things is debatable. Your comment about her was true.
um.
Yeah. I guess yeah, we did both work in restaurants. So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Yeah. Did you did was there anything else cool that happened in the Texas debate? Did anybody like you know soy bomb the stage or whatever? Anything cool?
No, there was like absolutely no like uh hoopla or circus of any kind. It was relatively well regulated, and other than it just looking like a man uh squirming in his chair,
Hmm.
that was pretty much it. It just looked like one man defending the indefensible while O'Rourke just said everything that you knew he was going to say. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
just, yeah,
and yet, I have the poll numbers on the screen. It's Abbott 50.1, O'Rourke 42.9. So
yeah. No, it's
what?
still like, well, the best I've seen is like 5 points.
And
Uh,
it just doesn't make any sense. You know, like what are people making their minds up on?
abortion.
But it's over. It's over.
They just no,
They
they don't.
already
That's no,
won.
no, 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 no. They don't even need to know that.
But they
Then
already won.
R equals pro-choice, or R
No, no,
equals
no.
pro-life. That's it.
But
That's all they
they
think
already
about.
won. It's over. So now what?
They don't. That doesn't. That they don't think past that.
Okay, well, speaking of R equals pro life, look at this crazy motherfucker. Doug Mastriano. He touched the Jesus sword, Tim. You've
See,
seen the
that's what I'm
footage of
talking
him.
about.
You've seen the footage of him touching the fucking Jesus sword, right?
Yes. If
What the
you
fuck was
believe
that? I mean,
in the magic stuff, you'll vote for like evil on purpose. Admit that it's evil and say I'm going to do that to achieve the greater good. Like that's why people will vote for Trump, is because he'll vote the way they want him to vote, not because of anything about Trump. It's just that he's the finger that's going to push the button they want pushed.
okay, but this fucking sword, Tim. Do you have any insight? I'm just a poor Catholic boy. We got incense and shit. The Pope is ridiculous, but we
Oh,
don't have any fucking magical swords, dude.
I don't know anything about the sword
But
personally.
have you seen the picture of him
I've
with
seen
the
the
sword?
picture of him with the sword. Yes,
What?
I think it's probably phallic. And
Okay, fair enough.
and
Yeah,
he's
but I mean,
he's repping.
wasn't there like
Yeah,
beating swords into plowshares? And then I'm sure there's some other Bible quote that's like, "Sharpen your swords and slaughter their children." But fuck it. God damn it. Anyway, this asshole right here, this Doug Mastriano motherfucker.
anyway, this asshole.
Yeah,
He does have a really sweet last name, though, I must say.
Maya Mastriano. Like, it sounds
Yeah,
cool.
like,
Like, I would
yeah,
love to eat at that restaurant for sure. It's like
right. If I was like
upscale
writing a
Maggiano's.
screenplay,
You
yeah,
know, it's like Maggiano's. It's like they're like Olive Garden but fancier, and they give you a take-home box of the same thing that you already ate. But
right.
then Mastriano's, they give you like two take-home boxes of things that you didn't eat, or you know.
I was thinking at Mastriano's, they give you like very, very small portions, and you're always leaving hungry because it's so
Yeah,
fancy.
yeah.
It's
It sounds about right.
like Maggiano's, but like they don't give you too much food.
Hmm. But yeah, the crazy thing about this dude is, unlike
Yeah, you might have to say the crazy things about this guy, what's not crazy about him.
well, yeah, I actually don't know what's not
Right.
crazy about him. So
Yeah, he's totally insane.
yeah, completely bonkers. Have you seen the
He
pictures of
makes
him?
Oz look like a politician.
Yeah, which makes no sense because he is not.
Right.
You know, and it's interesting that you say that because there's tons of Oz commercials on here all the time. There's no Doug Mastriano commercials ever. I've never seen them
Really?
ever, ever, never.
That's crazy. I figured that the GOP would have given up on Oz by now.
You would think that, yeah, but so I mean, we can talk about Oz later, but I'm talking about Doug Mastriano
Yeah.
right
Sorry.
now. Have
He's
you
very
seen?
distracting.
I brought up these pictures of him dressed as a fucking Confederate. Have you seen this shit where he's dressed as
Yeah.
a fucking? He's running for
Hmm.
governor of Pennsylvania. What the
Hmm.
fuck is he on about, man? Like,
I don't know.
how does this make any sense?
Yeah. If one state had to become the United States, if we had to choose just one state to represent us as like America, it would be freaking Pennsylvania. It's like it would be the one remaining state.
Arguably.
Maybe Virginia.
Well,
I'm just
I would
saying,
argue.
like,
I mean, there's arguments to be made for a few, but yeah, certainly Pennsylvania is one of them. And like,
what's the
so
most American state that there is?
well, yeah, it's probably Pennsylvania. Delaware's the
Right.
first state though. Delaware's the first state.
I just mean most American, the least Confederate. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
it's a
okay. Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
there are plenty of states where that's like an actual smart strategy to
Right,
put
but
that
this is
on, and people are going to be like,
but this is
right, that's what I mean. It's like, where does he think he is? It just
but
does. It's like a very different, yeah, a
well,
very different
but the weird
strategy
thing
than I would
is
advise.
that the middle of the state, like everything in between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh or whatever, it is rural, but are those people actually like stoked about the Confederacy? That blows my mind. I don't think that they are.
Not not historically. You know what I mean? Like
Right, yeah.
they wouldn't be. There's no
Right.
reason for a bunch of people that are stoked about it to have moved up there recently. Like,
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense. So I find it unlikely that over the last decade or so that people have suddenly become like Confederate sympathizers, like in
Yeah.
the
Well,
Rust Belt or whatever it's
this
called.
asshole did. This asshole did.
Yeah, this
And
asshole did.
and another thing that confuses me about it is that with a name like Mastriano, I assume, you know, sorry, I haven't looked into his ethnicity too much. I assume the dude's Italian, you know.
Right,
So
or at least he
what
knows a lot of Italians.
right? And so
He might have been
also
adopted or whatever. I
and
bet he
so
knows a ton of Italian.
sorry if I'm assuming this again,
Right.
but if you're an Italian dude in America, probably your family came here after the Civil War. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a horse in this race, man. Like, what
Right.
the fuck are you doing? We were like, God damn, I wish that I could have owned slaves, but my grandpa was working in a mine in Italy at the time. Or we're like, what? are you possibly thinking about?
They're just thinking about winning, man.
Well,
They're thinking about winning.
how is this winning?
They're he's probably not gonna win. So
No.
that's what I mean. That's what he's trying to win, but he's stupid. So he's not gonna.
Yeah, so
But
this is
there are
this
other
is
people doing stupid stuff, and they just are doing stupid stuff in the right races in the right locations and stuff. And it's winning. He could go somewhere else and do that same shit and totally win a race. He's just he's
right,
he's
but the weird thing is that he's a little bit. I mean, there's the whole campaign going on about how Dr. Oz isn't even from Pennsylvania, doesn't even live here, blah 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 blah. And similarly, like Mastriano also like used to live in New Jersey and like was still on the voter rolls because he had last voted there in like the aughts or something, whatever. But it's just it, okay. So if you used to vote in New Jersey, now you're running for governor of Pennsylvania. What uh, what the fuck does that have to do with Confederacy, motherfucker? What are
right.
you do?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like
Right.
it, I don't like cosplay as a Nazi because I'm a quarter Austrian or what? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's just like oh, it's my heritage, dude. Like I mean,
Yeah, that's
it's
just
not really. It's not really.
plus
But
it's just
my
like that's
Austrian
not even
counterpart just.
heritage. Yeah. That like but Confederacy isn't heritage, even if like you wanted to trace it back. Like that's just like it was just like a war that they lost. Yeah, it was a country that existed for a very short amount of time, and then they were gone.
I was about 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway, so looking at the polls, though, you're right that like Mastriano is not gonna win. Like it's even
yeah, he
grimmer.
is
It's
super not
grimmer
gonna
than
win.
Beto.
Yeah, way grimmer. Yeah,
And but
I've heard that he's like no chance. Basically, is like
yeah, it's a 10 point margin.
yeah,
It's
okay. I think that's probably what that reporting was based on. That it hit 10,
yeah.
so they're calling it 5 weeks out,
So
basically.
but the crazy thing is, like I said, I don't I can't remember seeing any ads for him. He more or less refuses to do media appearances. He came to Philadelphia last week and did his like first sort of event here, but it was like a private event, where he had like, local business leaders come to hobnob with Doug Marshall or
When he was getting shit for like being at January 6th and all that, and I feel like as soon as that became like nationally known, he sort of stopped showing up on national media as much. I don't know if he was still being showing up
no,
on
no,
TV
no,
there,
no.
but
He's totally inaccessible. Like
oh, okay.
he doesn't. It's I'm telling you, last week he did this thing in Philadelphia that was like meeting with business leaders, and they had a couple clips of him on the news, and he's just talking about like, well, Philadelphia, it's lawless and it's dangerous and blah blah, and there is some truth to that. We're at like 560 murders for the year, shit is dangerous.
It wasn't me, man.
Right? Yeah. Oh, it wasn't me either.
Okay, good.
Peace, man.
Stop staring at me.
But I just mean to say, he just said the normal shit that's obvious,
Right.
didn't offer any solutions or whatever. But other than that, like I haven't seen the dude say anything in forever. And I don't, the things that I know that he stands for are like that he hates the shit out of abortion. Um, and so that's
Basically, all I know about him is that he'll flip the election for Pennsylvania no matter what
right,
happens.
yeah, that too. That he,
That's like his whole platform
yeah,
is
his
he's
whole
definitely
shtick.
going to make sure that the state goes red,
Right,
no matter what.
because he's already a state senator. So he tried to
Right.
like put forth the fake electors,
He
in
was like
2020.
on board more than anybody else. Yeah.
But the big immediate thing for people here, and I do walk around and with a clipboard and ask people to register to vote all day. The big thing that people here are fucking pissed about or like concerned about is that if he gets elected, immediately like this is going to be a state where abortion's illegal, and he wants to do it,
Yeah.
with no exceptions for rape or incest or any of that. So
I think
like,
that's similar to the fear that people don't want Beto, even if like the other guy's crazy, is because they think he'll take away the ban because now it's banned here 100%. Like
right.
you can't do anything. And they're scared that Beto will make that go away because there are
Oh, that's
plenty of
weird.
people here that like it now. They're glad that it got banned and they want it to stay banned. That was a popular decision here.
Which is fucking crazy.
Right.
What blows my mind too is I read some stat recently is that like the most pro-life demographic is Republican women,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. Is it like
My mom.
like girls that we went to high school with too, who
Yeah.
would be like, I believe a woman's place is in the kitchen, and we'd be like, whoa, we're
Yeah.
like in high school. You got a lot of life left to live, honey.
Right. Yeah.
Like
No, like
you can go out there and do some cool shit.
no, there's yeah, like all the sort of women like my mom's age and all her friends would all vote a certain way for the exact same reason.
Yeah,
And it's
it's
only it's only on that. And that would
Ti-
and
they're
that would inform
murdering
their
little
vote.
babies, Timothy. They're murdering
That's
them.
all it is. Yeah. They would say it exactly like that. And to them it's not even like something they need to think about. It's like it will decide their vote forever. Then it's like saves them a time of looking into politics really because they don't have to bother learning about like global warming because they're like, well, there's one party that murders babies and one party that doesn't. So I vote for the one that doesn't. And that's as far as they're willing to think about it. So it's like, well, I can't really talk to you because you don't speak like the language that I want to talk to you in. Like, I don't know how to communicate with that. So,
But it's just
uh,
it's strange to me that there is that. I'm like, holy shit, man, I'm a cishet white man, but like I'm gonna say this anyway. It's so strange to me that there's a group of women so isolated from you know other women who I think by and large are just like, fuck you, let me do what I want. You know?
uh, I think it's just the all-encompassing power of the Lord.
Oh, the Lord, man, that has
The
to be
Lord,
yeah,
man.
that's
Yeah,
the
you
holy bitch, man.
because yeah, you're married to Him. That's what you're married to. You're married to Jesus.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think you underestimate the importance of sparkle motion.
You should never question my commitment to sparkle. Hmm.
uh, I said that to Kathy the other day, and she was just like, "What?" I was like, "No." I'm like, "Never mind. It's not important. If you
I
don't get the reference,
I like it. I had kind of forgotten about it, and then it came back into my brain like a few, I don't know,
recently."
weekends ago or something. Not recently, but when I worked for an unnamed children's entertainment company, we once named a move Sparkle Motion, and we all thought it was funny because it
Nice.
was named after the thing,
Well, don't underestimate it, dude.
Yeah, I would never underestimate my commitment to, Sparkle Motion, dude.
Right.
But yeah, I'm like, so I'm scrolling through this Atlantic article that just came out about Doug Mastriano and trying to figure out like what this dude is actually about. He's like talking about digging and drilling and shit. Um, you know, he
Like in
literally,
the state, he's down with coal
yeah,
mining. That's
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
gig.
But I mean,
I guess that makes sense.
well, even Fetterman is not like his like environmental bona fides aren't really there like some other people. Where like I don't think Fetterman supports banning fracking in Pennsylvania or some shit like that,
Right.
because there is such a long history of industrial shit happening, especially in Western Pennsylvania. But at this point, I don't know, man. The people who think that we're gonna take like a post-industrial society like we have and quote, we're gonna dig and drill like there's no tomorrow, end quote. Like the time has passed, my friend. You know, like even if you did want to do that, um, you're gonna have to hire a bunch of Mexicans to do
That's
it.
true. Yeah,
Like, you know,
right.
um,
Or offer a different solution if you think you can do it a different way. But yeah, good luck, especially like in a timely manner.
yeah,
You're gonna get it done. You have to get it done. He seems so like he's like a throwaway though.
yeah. I don't think that anyone should take him seriously at all.
I don't even know if he's being like what like the party would ever like why. It just seems like such an important state and such terrible strategy.
Well, yeah,
Like it just seems like such a bad state for the party to be like just sort of like meh. Like we're gonna not put a good candidate in there or whatever. Like that
right.
they
Yeah,
could find. Just
it's
seems so weird.
yeah, it is baffling because uh, as far as I can tell, he appeals to no one except people who
That's
are
what I
like,
mean. I haven't really heard even anybody like on supposedly the right, like that's like a fan. He seems like he has people that will eventually vote for him if necessary, type of people. Like
right.
and that's as good as I've heard. It's
And
like
again,
wow,
like I'm talking to people all day, like, hey,
yeah.
vote. We're voting for senator. We're voting for governor, whatever. And uh, everybody knows fucking Dr. Oz because they're sick and tired of his goddamn commercials, one way or the other. And a funny thing about those commercials too, because those are the most prevalent ones, are like Dr. Oz commercials. Either and they're usually just anti-Fetterman commercials, honestly. But the funny thing is, a lot of them now are about like John Fetterman wants to get people out of prison. John Fetterman released these two convicted killers.
John Fetterman has tattoos,
Right.
tattoos. Yeah.
But the funny thing is, so like, you know, uh, I work with a lot of black people, and all of them are just like, yeah, man, I saw those Dr. Oz commercials about how John Fetterman's getting people out of jail. I thought, yeah, Fetterman, that guy's all right. Like,
It's like, thanks again, Dr. Oz.
yeah,
Thanks again.
dude, the
Yeah.
man just cannot do anything right, as far as I can tell. But then at the same time,
Do you think Oprah sent him in as an operative? Like, is he a
just to fuck
spy?
it up,
Is
maybe.
he a psyop?
But
Yeah.
at the same time, so I was,
Sometimes I get the feeling he's a psyop
he might be, but
sent in by
at the
Oprah.
same time, I was out, um, talking to people about voting or whatever. I was near a college campus where a lot of rich kids go, whatever. And this kid walks by in a suit or whatever. I'm like, hey man, you registered to vote? I'm getting people registered to vote. Like, we need everybody to vote. He's walking by. He says, "Oh yeah, man, I already got it. I'm on top of it." Dr. Oz. Like, you're supposed to be a smart kid. You idiot.
Maybe he was the type of smart that was being super sarcastic and you just didn't catch it.
No, no, no. I think he was the type of smart that's like, I'm gonna have a cabal of rich dudes, and we're just gonna put up our other rich dude friends who will just give us what we
Yeah.
want.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
And it's like, well, sure, maybe that is a kind of intelligence, but it's not one that I respect. It's not one that would win a high school debate, would it,
No, it would not. It would not. Certainly not within an ethical bubble. It,
Tim?
like Tim Pool likes to swim in. He likes to get in this Tim Pool and swim in his little
Oh
ethics
God, is
bubble.
that guy still around? I haven't even thought about
Oh
him in a
God,
while.
yeah, dude. Like
Oh,
yeah, he's great to watch if you need to hate something.
oh, I don't really need that right now. Um, what is he
Well,
talking about these days?
just everything being like, a giant conspiracy, globalists and whatever. That he's, you know, right about everything basically.
Yeah,
He just,
have you ever seen? I think it's the funniest clip I've ever seen with him, where
he's just a
he's basically
sellout.
talking about you saying he's right about everything and everyone else is wrong. He's talking about like how he doesn't get any matches on Tinder or something, and then
Oh
he basically
man.
says like, I think that I'm right and the people and the girls are wrong for not being attracted to me. I'm just paraphrasing. It's basically that though. It's as stupid as
No, that
that.
sounds exactly like him. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds exactly like him. In the background of his stupid stuff, he's got like a gun and a sword like crisscrossing behind him on the wall, and it's like, oh my god, dude. But
Well,
it's like a pirate gun, like a
and I'm not one to I think that the whole like incel culture thing is like overblown. It's like, no, dude, some of these dudes are just lonely. Just chill out.
no, this guy like I
They'll
think
get
maybe
over it. But
he
Tim Pool like really is an idiot. Really doesn't understand how to interact with people. I think.
no, he's bad. Yeah, I think he came around like during Occupy. I think that's when he like
Right, I've
became a
heard that too,
thing.
which makes no sense to me. I don't understand.
I think that's like he like that's like when he started like getting a following on YouTube and like talking about like sort of how the government should work and how we need to like take back control from the man. And he just sort of like a lot of people do turned that idea into being a Republican, like all libertarians do. They're like, fuck the man, and then 2 years later they're just Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, libertarians are just 13 years old. That's all there is to it. Come on.
Right,
You
exactly.
just
But
you just
until they're
haven't thought it
Republicans.
through. You just haven't thought it
They
through.
just grow up and they might turn into just a regular ass Republican.
Yeah.
And Tim Pool is just still like a transitioning. He's like a forever 13
I mean,
basically.
there is some shit that like when Ron Paul ran for president, I was like, oh, it's cool that he doesn't want to bomb the shit out of poor brown people on the other side of the world. That's cool. I'm with that,
Yeah,
right?
but
Like, not
it's
all
only because
ideas
he
are
wants to.
bad.
He's going to be busy doing other terrible things. I guess he just does. He
No,
just
no,
wants to do
he
other
was just
things.
not going to do anything. He was just like, I'm
Right.
not going to bomb brown people on the other side of the world, and I'm also not going to do anything for anyone here.
Right. I'm also not going to educate America.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
P.S. My ideas might have been circulated in like racist newsletters in Texas in the '80s, and I was
Right.
cool with
Yeah.
it. You know
Exactly.
what I
Be
mean?
careful.
But
I mean,
sometimes bad people have good ideas.
oh yeah.
You know.
Almost always. That's
That
the
was another
problem.
one where he got booed at the
I've heard Gandhi was a racist, a big racist. So
yeah,
you
I,
got to take it with a grain of racism.
right, right. But that was another one because we were talking about Rick Perry getting booed when he was at the Republican primaries for president. Ron Paul also got booed for quoting
Yeah.
the Golden Rule. Literally, do you remember this? He was like,
No, I remember he had like a story about how he got booed, like kind of ended him.
no, it was literally. They asked him about what his foreign policy would be, and he said the Golden Rule. He said, "I think we should do unto others as we would have them do unto us." And the crowd booed him. They were like, "Hell no! Bomb those camel junkies!" Because it was like
Right.
2004, it's
Mm.
like or eight, whatever it was. Who cares? That whole decade
Right.
was
Yeah.
just
Just that's not the right answer, basically. Yeah.
just total madness, man. Anyway, um,
Yep.
Um, well, we wanted to talk about work, a little bit too. Um,
Yeah.
so I thought I'd talk to you about how you mastered the craft. Because I think you and I think about work in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you, whatever the job is, you do the job and you try to do it as well as you can because it's kind of fun to be good at things.
Right.
And right, and then once you're good at it, then everybody else is like, "Oh shit, you're good at this," and then they give you more money and they make you the boss.
Right.
You know.
Ideally.
So
Or you can potentially just manipulate situations to your benefit if you're really good at your job,
sure, sure, sure.
because
Yeah,
then
of
you
course
could
you
use
can.
your brain to accomplish other tasks while your body is like doing the actual work.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Yeah.
But in the
Like you can be like
first,
a madman, you can be like wheeling and dealing and like
I've never watched
managing.
Mad Men.
Neither have I. Apparently,
Oh,
it's
okay.
really good, but I think it's about like
That's one of
cheating
those
on your
cultural
wife.
moments that I missed because I didn't live in the country, where
Yeah,
it
you
just
did.
entirely happened while I was not here.
I don't think you would have watched it.
No, I
I think you
probably
would have been
wouldn't
like,
have.
yeah, yeah. It's just about like guys who drank whiskey in the 50s and like cheated on their wives and had two families.
I mean, whatever.
And
That's that's
people
cool.
thinking those guys are great.
Yeah, whatever. I could do that myself. I don't need to watch
Yeah,
a TV show about it. You know.
right. Yeah.
But what I wanted
But it
to
did give us John Hamm, so. But the
You know what?
craft,
I don't even know that guy even really either. I know he's in an episode of he's in the Christmas Black Mirror and other
yeah,
stuff.
he's in like some really good SNL stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, I haven't watched
Yeah,
SNL in a
right.
long time.
He's great in like random comedies and like he shows up in like I don't know, like really random shit with like hilarious comedians. So it's awesome that leading man is around that's willing to do stupid stuff sometimes.
Oh yeah, sure, that's always a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, he's like a Paul Rudd type where he's always down to make an ass of himself
I was
in between
confused
making
for
a
a
lot of
while
money.
between him and the guy who plays Negan on Walking Dead. I don't know if you watched that, but
Oh yeah, I did watch that. He's also in The Watchmen, which I like a lot better.
yeah, yeah,
He's the
he's the
comedian.
comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So when I when I first saw John Hamm, because I had seen Watchmen and I loved the shit out of that because I read the graphic novel back then. Whatever, we're not talking about that. But when I first saw John Hamm, I was like, oh, it's the dude who played the comedian or whatever. But it wasn't. It was just a different,
No,
a different dude with like,
quite similar.
yeah, like the same kind of
Yeah,
brown hair, kind of the same kind of hair. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
but it was not the dude.
They all look the same to me too. It's okay.
Yeah, basically all people with hair, y'all all look the same to me. Get out
Yeah, exactly.
of here.
I don't know if this counts as hair. This
Yeah,
is
that counts.
something.
That counts.
It's like a mane that I have accomplished.
But anyway,
But yeah,
what I was
talking
trying to
about
talk to you
work.
about was about waiting tables, about working, and what
Yes.
it's like waiting
I could
tables.
talk to you about what it was like because I'm sure it's completely different now. It's
Well,
probably
it
one of
can
the
be
things,
completely different, but
but I just mean like with COVID and shit, like I can't speak to
oh
what it's
sure.
like in like the environment of like how weird it is to work at a restaurant now and it's different in every state. But in the late 90s, uh working at a restaurant, it was kind of like a hip thing to do as a teenager. It was kind of like a cool job to be a waiter. And uh it was you kind of had to be cool in order to do it. Uh
Hmm.
so it was sort of like if you weren't like a charming enough person, you sort of like would
Right.
immediately be ousted or like you would just like fail through training and like embarrass your way out of the restaurant. So
Hmm.
working in a restaurant, the first is like the first step into like just learning whether or not like you're worth your own sand and you can like get out in the world as like a fully functional person, not your parents' child, and be like, let me interact with strangers constantly and try to trick them into giving me money. But they kind of want to and they're supposed to, but I have to really make them want to by just doing what I have to do or I get in trouble. Like it's such a strange like relationship. But like you said, when you want to be awesome at something, you find ways to make the easy seem difficult and do it really well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Or make the difficult seem easy, right? But
Or yes. Well, sometimes both, but yes, make the difficult seem easy.
but I think
But sometimes making the easy seem difficult can be to your benefit as well.
oh sure. So sometimes if you make it look like you're working hard,
Hmm.
then right, you can curry favor that way too. Be like, hey
Right.
guys, I just got to run over here real quick, but like, and they're like, oh man, he's really busting his ass, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. Like offer to stay late and then just stay late and stand around.
Oh yeah,
Be
for
like, oh
sure. But
man, I'm
I mean,
2 hours late.
with the customers too, of just be like,
Oh, that's true.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
once you understand that you've established that rapport with someone, then you can be like, "Hey guys, I got to run over here and get something real quick, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are okay." Like if you
Right.
throw that in there of about how busy you are, then they're like, "Oh shit, dude, he's really going for it." Right?
Right. If they get the sense, I think that's probably one of the best ways to like try to squeeze maybe like a extra gratuity out of somebody that they really do want to give you is to like sort of make it seem like despite the fact that like I should be losing my shit right now, I'm actually still being charming
Right. Yeah.
and like showing up with like drinks when you least expect it and like, you know, that people care about how full their drink is more than they care about whether or not their food has, E. coli in it. Um, to go back to food poisoning. So it's like if you can nail that, you pretty much get everything. But then one of the funniest things about waiting tables is after you do it for a long time, you realize that like everything, there are patterns. Humans are awesome at recognizing them. So like all the customers fit into like a certain category where you just learn like, oh, dad with family, he's paying, he's limiting what the kids can order. I know what this is capable of as a table. They're going to be this much per person. He's going to
Yeah.
tip me about this much.
Yeah.
Not going to waste my time. uh, Two people that are around my age that seem like they're on a date and they're going to get drunk and then just sort of sit there and talk, they're probably going to give me a good tip if like they have a good time and I just like let them chill out. Probably better than the family that seems like a bigger table. So you learn like who's more likely to be cool and
Hmm.
they're more likely to give you money and you just like let the tables that are likely to be very needy, you just like let them burn and just let them sit there on the griddle and just be like, you guys can wait for to-go boxes because I know you're not going to reward me if I'm fast with them. Like
Yeah.
you just pick out your tables that you know are going to be stingy with the tip and be like, I don't care if you give me $5 or $6. Like it doesn't. I care. This table gives me like 12 or 20, so I'm gonna like spend my time buttering them up
Mm. Yeah.
or putting your nads on their table or whatever it takes.
So, how old were you when you started waiting tables? Like
Well, I think
17
when
or
I
something?
started working at the restaurant, like I wasn't quite 18, but I was like kind of learning like some of the hostess responsibilities and just kind of like learning the menu so that by the time I turned 18, I was allowed to start like
Oh,
waiting
right,
tables
because you
to
had to be
beer.
18 to serve alcohol because of
Yeah, you couldn't carry
TABC,
the
right?
glasses of beer because of TABC. It was like an open thing, so you couldn't carry it to the table. So they didn't want anybody doing it. But like I wanted to get the job right away. So yeah, I worked at the mall when I was 17 selling shoes and I just like switched over to that from working like a commission salesman job to working as a waiter. Like when I was like a junior in high school, I was like switching careers. But yeah,
But basically, I mean, it kind of was, right? Because
a similar thing, yeah. But I was just
you
like,
know,
I think I can take this sales thing. I can make it make more money for me. And I was able to make more money waiting tables like than
and then you bought the
a lot of
machine,
people
and
I ever met waiting tables. Like I made more money than all my coworkers like everywhere I worked. So if you're good at it and you give a shit and you're smart and you do all your coworkers work for them so that they will help you out when you need shit. Like that's
hmm
sort of like how work works.
yeah,
It
it
applies to
definitely
other
is, man.
it applies to a lot of things,
It
but
sure
like,
does. It sure does.
yeah, yeah.
So,
We work in a society.
when was the last time that you waited tables?
The last time that I waited tables was I had a job at Nick and Sam's in Dallas.
That's like the fancy steakhouse, right?
It's like a fancy steakhouse, like a five-star steakhouse. I think that was the last time I waited tables.
How long ago was that?
In
Like 10 years ago?
uh that was probably, yeah, like 2011, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was about, yeah, like 10 years ago, I feel like.
So,
Probably,
what is
yeah.
the
I'm trying to
difference?
think of I had some other like short-lived jobs, but I think that was the last time I truly waited tables was that job. I did like management since then, all management stuff.
Yeah. So what was the difference working there versus working at like, a chain restaurant like where you started? How different was it as far as
Oh, it's
first the
completely different.
clientele? What was the client?
There's
What was
basically nothing the same.
nothing the
Like
same?
the things that are the same are you carry stuff.
Okay. But
Yeah.
like, working in a chain, you go to the table. Did you like tell them the day's specials, whatever? Because like
Yeah,
at a
you had to
fancy
do
place, you
like
do, right?
yeah. At a normal chain, you don't do any of that. You just like they have a menu. You come by, ask them how they're doing, what they want to drink. Come by later, ask them if they know what they want. Write it down, ring it up, bring it out, bring them the bill, bring them a to-go box. They go home, or just just do the things that every person that's been to a restaurant. You just do those things. Usually just as efficiently and nicely as possible. And people kind of appreciate silent service more than anything
I'm sure I do. Yeah.
unless you get the sense that they want some sort of engagement,
Yeah.
then you need to engage.
Yeah.
If they like keep making comments to you or doing one-liners, like trying to get you to laugh.
Dude.
But most people, if they're just talking to each other, that's the best a waiter could get is
Yeah.
people that are actually having a conversation because they don't want their waiter to stand at the table and do anything. They just want you to show up with a new fucking Diet Coke.
Thank you.
And
Yeah. And
if my
leave that
fries
shit
aren't
there.
hot, like
Get the
I'm gonna
fuck
be
out of
mad.
here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be mad if my fries aren't hot, but I'm not gonna tell you that I'm mad. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best you can ask for,
But
like
those
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 tables.
dudes who are like waiters at some chain restaurant and come up to you and be like, "Hey man, my name's Jim, I'm gonna be taking care of you today," and like squat down at the table and like start talking.
Oh
I
my
just
God.
moved in with my girlfriend. I'm still adjusting to it, but do you guys want to try out our chicken Caesar? I'm like, dude, fuck,
That's
no.
like the dude in
Like,
what's it called in Office Space. You gonna try some of their jalapeno poppers?
yeah, no, I like put as
No,
little
but there would totally
personality.
be people,
I want as
especially
little of your personality at my meal as
right,
possible.
right. There would be people that, especially in Austin, when I was
Yeah,
working at a restaurant, like more as an adult, probably when you and I were living together, um, when there would be like waiters that would get hired that would like be like that, and like I was training pretty much everybody that worked at the place I was working, so like they would have to like get through me to like be allowed to like work there basically, and I'd just be so not harsh but brutally honest with like that ain't how we do things here, man.
yeah,
And like no, 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 like we don't, this isn't TGI Fridays, like
right.
yeah. Like we don't do like that, like our bartender's been here for like 7 years, like our customers know us, like don't come in here with your cheesy ass like downtown restaurant crap, like we're up here in North Austin, like we don't need you like being all finger guns about it. But there would totally be people that would come in there thinking that was like the way to like make money, and you just
Right.
have to
Yeah.
tell them like, hey, tone it down, like that's really obnoxious. Like everyone is talking shit about you in the back while you're out here. And like we're all back there laughing at you because we can hear you in the front of the house being like, so, and we're like all in the back doing impressions of them. And it's like,
Yeah.
as their trainer, you'd have to level with them and be like, all right, man, you're making a fool of yourself.
Right.
If you want to keep working here and be happy, you're going to have to stop rolling up to the table like you're following up with a bowling shot. You're so low to the ground. Your leg goes, hello, everyone. Yeah.
No, but there's a surprising number of people who think that they need to like sell themselves and be like, "You, bro, you're doing it. We're in this together. You're eating your meal. I'm helping you out, and you're gonna help me out at the end. And it's like I think that's maybe effective on like a small percentage of the population, but mostly people just care about good service, right? And like just
Well, it's because you're totally right. That's exactly what's actually happening is that like the very small minority is being catered to because they send in complaints.
mm,
So in a world where the complaints are the only things that get paid attention to, the managers just want to avoid complaints, not because they care, but because like their bosses care all the way up the chain to stockholders or owners or whatever it is, whoever actually gives a shit about the profit margin, like cares about complaints because there's a direct relationship between complaints and profit or whatever. But
is that
like
true? I don't believe
exactly, I don't either.
that.
I don't either. Because like the people that complain everywhere they go.
Right.
Nothing's ever good enough, but they still eat food every day. They none of them starve to death, and they didn't learn how to cook, so they
Mm.
still eat. You'd have regulars at a restaurant that would complain every time, and it's like, you guys are really going to give them more coupons? They're coming back. They're like addicted to eating here. Like they're never gonna stop eating here. You stop giving them like free fries and shit. Like we got them. You need to go like find kind people that will come in here and not demand free shit. So it was always frustrating when the squeaky wheel got the oil. But I think that's the side tangent, which is redundant immediately. Uh, a good thing that came out of sort of lockdown pandemic society was that I think the customer is always right
Oh,
is done.
that's done.
I think that's gone.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
gone. Yeah.
and I think that's what created what you're talking about. The I need to sell myself thing is because you'd never want to get into that situation where you get that Karen on the other side of the counter who's like, why do you have to be so rude or whatever? Or like, don't snap at me. And you're just like, ma'am, like, I don't like fucking being here. I'm working at the drive through. Do you want more Arby's sauce or not? Like,
Right.
fucking
Yeah.
kill yourself. I don't give a shit. Like, and he's like, well, who's your manager? I need to know everything about you and make sure that you can never succeed in life. And it's like, that's why nobody wants to work in those jobs. And that's why
Right.
people are just refusing to be nice in
Right.
because there's no actual reason to be nice. It's not part of the deal. Like you're here for nachos, right? Here they are. Like, why does it matter if I say here they are, dude? For like, nice to meet you or whatever. Like, does that make them taste any better for you? Now give me $1 for calling you dude.
If I call you dude
Nachos are
three
10.
times, I know it's gonna knock down the tip because I'm being too familiar. But if I call you dude
Right.
twice,
Yes,
I know that's
exactly.
the sweet spot, right?
Right.
Because that's the thing
Can't go
too, right?
overboard.
You gotta read the room and know. But
And that's a thing that's like completely different because in the sort of uh regular restaurant environment, like the casual restaurant, it's like the type of clientele is hopefully low budget and they're going to come and go quickly,
mhm.
as opposed to fine dining. The table that you start waiting on, it's probably not, it's like you're just going to have that table and you might have give like 3 or 4 more tables throughout the entire shift, and that'll be it. You wait on like 5, 6 tables per night, and that'll get sat at one time. It'll be
Oh,
one
I didn't
group that
realize
sits
that. So
there.
it's just like one
And in
table.
restaurants like that, typically are only open for dinner. So they open at like 6 o'clock and you have to have a reservation.
Mhm.
So like I know exactly when a person's going to come sit down at that table. I know exactly how many people it's going to be before they even sit down. And the tables are like like there's courses. So it's like you start with by the time you get through all 5 courses, it could take like 3 hours to eat dinner. And it's sort of up to the waiter how long that takes because it's up to the waiter how fast the food gets fired out of the kitchen
Mhm.
based on how fast the people are eating.
Mhm.
So you find out what they want in general after going through all the menu, but then you also have to like tell the kitchen periodically in timing with how quickly you think they're going to be done with the course they're on and how quickly they want the next course to arrive without ever asking them directly how long to wait. You just kind of have to get a feel of like, are they in a hurry? Are they taking their time? How fast are they drinking their wine? Are they sitting there silently like it's awkward and they're on a date, they want their food now? Or are they like chatting it up and you want to get them drunk so they order another bottle? Because you could sell somebody like a $500 a bottle of wine and you're looking at like $100 tip
Sure.
maybe
Yeah.
just on that bottle of wine.
Hmm.
If you can sell them another one, you could end up making, you know, 700-800 bucks in tips in one night just off of 2 or 3 tables if it's the right table. But you could also get set like an anniversary where they try to spend like as little money as possible, split a steak and spend like 60 bucks, but you're still getting like, you know, maybe like a $20 tip because they're going to like over tip because they're at a fancy restaurant or whatever.
Hmm.
But you get rid of that table and it's kind of a waste of your, it's more like the real estate is important in fine dining as opposed to the quantity of tables that you go through
Oh,
in
okay.
the
Yeah, that's
normal.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a whole different style of like building a relationship with the table in fine dining. You really come by, introduce yourself, like you get to know like what why they're there, what they're up because there's a reason they're there. No one is just there on them.
Oh,
And if it's big,
just thought I'd drop in and spend
because it's like
$120
pretty
on a
much
steak.
reservation only, especially at certain times and on the weekends and stuff. You have to have a reservation, so it's like they planned for at least a couple of days to come there.
Yeah.
So it's not like they decided that morning. It's like they got all dressed up. There's a dress code, like so.